Now, journalists have only had the documents the House Oversight Committee released for a little more than a day now. But Trump and the White House are already trying to discredit everything in this trove of documents. They're working overtime to do this. And they are trying to use the name of an Epstein survivor to get away with it. Yesterday, the very first email that the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released showed Epstein writing Ghislaine Maxwell to say that Trump was the, quote, dog that hasn't barked, and that a victim spent hours at Epstein's house with Trump. The Democrats on the committee redacted that victim's name, as they've tried to do with the names of all of the Epstein survivors, in part to allow them to tell their own stories on their own terms if they want to. But within an hour of the release, the Republican majority on the House Oversight Committee promptly outed the victim as Virginia Giuffre, apparently doing so just so they could point to past statements of Giuffre's in which she said she had never seen Trump do anything wrong. So again, they're outing an Epstein survivor for political gain. And just to be clear, this was not a one-off. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt promptly did the same in a press release. And then at the White House press briefing yesterday, Leavitt had the gall to again invoke Giuffre's name to defend Trump without even learning how to pronounce it.
Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre.
It's Virginia Giuffre. Sorry, that's just incredibly insulting. But here's what she went on to say.
Ms. Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her.
Now, again, the reason Karoline Leavitt and House Republicans were invoking and have been invoking Virginia Giuffre's name is not to help tell her story or to push for releasing more documents like her family wants, but to try to cover Trump's butt. And it's not just the White House and Congress that are doing this.
Trump is all over the Epstein files, and I'm wondering if they're going to release those. Are you covering that tonight?
Not really, because the woman that apparently they're talking about is the one that said he was a gentleman and never did anything wrong.
Again, co-opting the story of a young woman who many survivors credit with inspiring them to tell their own stories, who is no longer here with us to keep telling hers, all for their own political gain. Joining me now are Skye and Amanda Roberts. They are the brother and sister-in-law of the late Virginia Roberts Giuffre and advocates for justice in her memory. Whew, looking at your face, it's just going to make me cry too. But this is such an important story to talk about. Skye, as I just outlined yesterday, it's okay. Be however you want to feel in this moment. I think everybody is with you who's watching right now. Yesterday, after these emails were released, I felt such rage, and I think so many people did. And this is why I wanted to outline and tell the story. First, Republicans on the House Oversight Committee and then the White House afterwards confirmed Virginia's name as the identity of the individual whose name was redacted. I'm just going to repeat, there's a reason why individuals' names are redacted in these documents. There is a reason. And a lot of people out there, including Republicans, have said they want to protect the survivors' names. What was your reaction when you first saw that yesterday morning?
What another slap in the face from this administration. It was gut-wrenching. It made us angry. What disrespect. Our sister is an American hero. She and her testimony was the reason why they were even able to take these monsters down. And from the very beginning, all they have done is try to drag her name in the muck for redemption for our president. And it's just so disgraceful. They have had no regard for a family that is grieving a loss that they will never recover from. We will never recover from this loss. And there is a reason why names are redacted. Do you think because she's not here anymore that her family doesn't deserve protection, that her family doesn't deserve respect, that her legacy and her name doesn't deserve honor? And sure, she may not have had a personal experience with President Trump. But he is named in those files on multiple occasions. And nor are we here to sit here and accuse anyone of anything. What we are saying is if you are named under any circumstance, and it doesn't matter what party affiliation you are, you deserve to answer questions. You deserve to sit before the committee, before the American public, before the survivors, and tell them what you know. Tell them what you saw. And it is just beyond reprehensible of this White House, of the Republican Oversight Committee to do that, to violate her in that way and to violate us in that way.
I don't know, Sky, how you could add to the powerful statement that your wife just made, but what do you want people to understand about what it does to families? And there are so many other survivors out there. When the names of survivors, the names of people who have been victims of Jeffrey Epstein, of Ghislaine Maxwell, are released and put out there in the world like this?
Well, I think first I want to start with just, I don't think my sister or any survivor, excuse me, I'm very emotional tonight. I apologize.
You don't need to apologize.
But I don't think any survivor, including my sister, should be used as a political toy. These are sisters and mothers and daughters. Amanda mentioned we're grieving right now. I think the world is grieving a little bit for her because she's not here to speak for herself. And so it felt very disrespectful for them to unredact her name when she's not here to speak for herself. We're, of course, going to stand forward and we're going to continue to fight for her and all survivors out there, because I want to be very clear. If my sister was here today, she would be appalled by this administration. She would not refer to President Trump as a gentleman. He's not acknowledging survivors. Not once has he even acknowledged my sister in the sense of who she was as a hero. I mean, the reason we're even here today having this conversation, Jen, in which she should be sitting with you, not me, is because of her and so many brave survivors that came forward. And now these files are being released. And so I just think it's time to put a little respect on her name and all survivors' names and treat them as heroes. Mm-hmm. And stop, and just stop the nonsense, this political BS bullshit that just keeps coming out of his mouth and the administration's mouth. It needs to stop. Sorry.
It's okay. You can feel and say whatever you want to say. Just to be clear, I think people are feeling what you're feeling right now on your behalf. You know, part of what is so enraging here, there's so many things, is that she isn't here to tell her own story. You're the closest there is to tell her story. And one of this email that I've talked about is getting a lot of attention because it's talking about how Epstein says your sister spent hours in his house with Donald Trump. There's been so much speculation about what that means. How do you read it? Or is there anything you want people to understand of what you think it means?
I think it means there are still so many layers to uncover. I think there are so many things that we just don't know. She's never had a personal conversation to us about an interaction like that. That doesn't mean that it's true or not true. And I think that this just further proves how deep of an investigation is warranted here. This is why those files need to be released. This is why the paper trails need to be followed. Okay, we have to look into this deeper and we have to look at accountability here. I think that's what Virginia would want today. And she wants protection for herself, for her family, who she has left behind, and for every single survivor who consistently puts themselves at risk. And in trusting their government, Republican and Democrats, we are trusting you to do the right thing by us and protect survivors. No more shameful games. No more political party games. This is not a political issue. And I'm going to tell you this. Survivors don't care. And they didn't care when they were being abused, whether someone was a Republican or a Democrat. They don't care. We don't care. The American public do not care which party you fall on. If you are implicated in these heinous acts, it must come to light. We must do better. Our world is demanding that of us.
I'll just add, having worked in Democratic politics for 20 years, if Democrats in there, Democrats who are prominent, they should be named and outed too. This is about justice for survivors.
Right.
It has nothing to do with people's party affiliation. Let me ask you, because I think part of it is what happens now. And there is, of course, this discharge petition, which you have both been out there working so hard to advocate for, among so many other things. There's going to be a vote next week. It sounds like many more Republicans, to your point, Amanda, I think, are coming out and saying, or saying privately, that they're going to support this. There is a huge, big pressure campaign from the White House to keep people from getting on board. People have resisted that to date, but it's going to just amp up. Your voices are more powerful than their voices. What's the argument you want people to hear and understand about why it is so important, even if there are enough votes to pass this, that people who want to stand on the side of survivors, if they want to do that, they need to support this?
Well, I think we have a lot of momentum right now. I think that survivors' voices are truly being heard right now. I think all the work that my sister put in over the years and the truth that she told and the people that she took down, a prince is no longer a prince anymore. You mentioned that at the beginning of the show. She did real things, and this is not a hoax. All right. And you know what? The White House only wants it to not be a hoax when it's convenient for them. Right. They want to mention my sister's name and say, oh, so he's vindicated because my sister said so. Not true. Not true at all. She actually never said that once. She just said that you're nice to her, and, you know, and that doesn't mean that it didn't happen to somebody else. But for this petition in particular, we're very proud of all Democrats out there. Again, it's not a party issue, but every Democrat did sign on. And we have some really brave Republicans that stepped forward and said enough is enough. We're going to do this because it's the right thing to do. Because if I'm going to go home at night and look at my daughter in the face or my sister in the face, I'm going to sign this damn petition. I'm going to do it right now because it's the right thing to do. And I'm hoping more Republicans gain that same traction and can hear the voices of survivors. I can tell you right now, I'll be the first one in Washington, D.C. tomorrow if you want to talk on the House floor or whatever floor you want to talk on, or at a coffee shop. I don't care what Republican is. I will look you in the face. I will have that conversation with you, and I will tell my sister's story, just like every survivor should tell their story, because this is a platform that we are constantly fighting for every single day, and it's time. It's time the American knows who these monsters truly are, because too many of them are still walking around free.
Well, it's really thanks to the advocacy and bravery of your sister and both of you that so many people are learning more about this story and better understanding how important it is to stand up. Skye and Amanda Roberts, thank you both so much for being here with me tonight.
Thank
you, Jen.